Welcome, everybody, to the Vegan Transformation and Empowered Vegans. I'm your host, and with my co-host, Mariquita. Just a brief introduction. I'm a author, psychologist, vegan educator, and I'm here with Mariquita, who's, can you say briefly who you are, Mariquita?
So I'm an uncaged heart coach. I help men break out of that box of living in a mask and to help them live fulfilling real lives.
Yeah, and today's is all about how can we live fulfilling real lives as vegans or veg curious or people on the plant-based journey. And we have an amazing guest with us today, Dr. Akil Taher. I'm going to just say briefly about him, but he'll be sharing much more as we meet. Dr. Akil is a practicing physician and author and heart disease survivor who has transformed his own personal and health challenges into opportunities for growth and advocacy. We'll be sharing a little bit about his journey of recovering from heart disease and heart surgery and what unfolded from there, including some really amazing accomplishments and just hiking and all these other physical feats that you will be amazed to hear. And he's written a wonderful book called Open Heart that shares his journey. So we'll be sharing more about him. So just that brief introduction. Welcome, Dr. Akil. And we're so glad that you are here with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Angela and Mariquita. Angela, thank you for that kind introduction.
Yeah, well, you're an inspiration. And I met you, I'm not sure exactly, probably through some of the things we were doing we did that health a while back that turned into the vegan community. And then I didn't interview you for my book, but you participated by filling out a survey. And I shared a little bit of your story in my book, The Vegan Transformation.
Right.
And I guess I want to invite you, one of the things that's always helpful is to hear about your plant-based and vegan journey. What got you, what happened, what unfolded, what got you to where you are now?
Okay, so let's start with, I'm 77 years old now. Till the age of 61, I created my own unhealthy lifestyle. I worked endlessly, long hours, without really paying attention to my family, friends, or my health. It was like, I came to America rather late. So in my 40s, and I sort of had a lot of catching up to do to live that American dream, so to speak. And so I created such a lifestyle that I indulged into foods that were totally unhealthy without worrying about what effect it would have on my body. So at times I was called a seafood eater because I ate everything at sight. And then when I did not work hard or eat what was in front of me, I was a couch potato. I did not know the meaning of exercise, except, when I did my eye muscles exercise, looking at joggers run in the park, or my hand muscles, whereby holding the remote to change the TV channels as I lay endlessly on the couch. Then coming to my genetics, it's challenging too. My brother died at the age of 52 of a stroke. My mother and sister both succumbed to heart disease at the age of 69. My brother, who is still there, 2 years older, he has got pulmonary fibrosis. So my genetics, like I said, were challenging. With all this came in a lot of stress. And stress, as you know, is something that is when something happens to you and you cannot handle it. So when you are in that situation, to me, the 4 Ds are the main causes of stress. When you're in debt, a lot of money that you own, divorce, a disease, and death. So here I was with a situation that I could not handle. And so was not surprised that heart disease came knocking at a very young age of 54. But that is where I believe, and I will do a little bit of talk on that just a minute or so about LP little a later on, which was probably the cause of me having at that young age, at the age of 54. Anyway, they told me that you needed stents. I was not aware of the whole food plant based at that time. And so I uh, said, okay, put in stents. And my plaques were so thick that they had to use a diamond tip uh, the rotor to really shave off my plaques. And in the process, I had cardiac arrest. My heart stopped, and they had to shock me to beat my heart again. That was my first encounter with death. But surprisingly, the brilliant cardiologist who saved me that day, he was young, he was 44, 45. He died 2 years after he did what he did for me, with a massive heart attack on his treadmill as he was exercising. So make no mistake, disease is the leading cause of death in the US and worldwide. So and now people may be thinking that I probably changed my life after this. I did not, Angela. I I thought that medical science would take me out of it. But I was the blood was here. I was a doctor. I was supposed to treat patients, not become one. And so that really got me into I started being isolated. I just wanted to be alone. I went into kind of, I used to sit for long hours looking at nothing. And I went into a kind of a depressive state. People don't realize that when you come across an illness that you cannot handle, there can be loneliness, there can be isolation, things like that can happen to you, and depression set in. And at one point, I thought of almost ending everything. But anyway, those were the 5 horrendous years of my life after my stent. And so I was not surprised when I went back to the hospital this time, my stents had failed and I had to have open heart surgery. So till this time, I want people to understand that adversity can be your best friend or your worst enemy. To me, it was my worst enemy so far. I could not handle it, and I did not do. Now comes my transformation. As I was being wheeled in, I proclaimed to the nurses in the ICU that I would do a half a marathon in a year's time if all went well. They humored me, they laughed, and I don't blame them. Uh, they thought probably that it was anesthesia infusion talking or what have you. But I don't know. And I still don't know, Mariquita, why I made that statement.
I was just wondering that, what got that come out of your mouth, given what your history had been.
Correct. To this day, I'm trying to figure out why I made that statement. But looking back at it, I feel that I had only two choices left. Either to continue this horrific end of life journey that what was bound to happen, or to make a very conscious decision to really live life. with a kind of a purpose, passion, and positivity. And I chose the latter. And so I was on the treadmill, was surprised. I was on the treadmill on the third day after my open heart. And trust me, open heart, I don't want anybody to go through it. Every breath is painful when you cut open your chest. So I went on that and I started to take running as my thing because I had to keep the promise to these nurses. Now, from being a couch potato to running and doing half marathons and marathons wasn't easy. So people thought that I was having a midlife crisis. My family and friends, and they were right. They were right because instead of buying a really rare, fancy sports car, I went and bought running shoes. They were far cheaper and better for the health, better for the heart rather. So I started running. Running became a meditation in motion. This is a word I've coined, meditation in motion, because I love running. And so that running became, it was difficult. It was like how a baby learns to walk because I had done nothing, not even half a kilometer. Having said that, I started eating right. I started exercising, meditation, yoga, breathing exercises, spirituality. And I felt good. So I started doing other things because I get bored with one particular thing. So I started marathons. So I did the Boston Marathon in Chicago. Then I did triathlons. And after triathlons, I started climbing mountains, Mount Kilimanjaro and Mount Kailash. And then I did a 100-mile bike ride. But all through this, I had not yet, I was eating right, but I was still not a whole food plant-based. I was eating better. So I was feeling good. But still, that diverticulitis that I had, which had perforated twice in my life, the second time when it had perforated, my friend, the surgeon said, Akil, if I don't take you to the operation table right now, you may not survive. And so I was wondering, I was not getting it that often, but I was still getting diverticulitis, sinus congestion, bronchitis. And I was wondering why. Doing everything right, what could it be? I'm exercising. My sleep pattern became a little better. I used to sleep only 4 hours, 4.5 hours. It became a little better. And I could not understand why it was. So I started reading books, medical journals, talked to my colleagues, Neil Bernard and Collins and all those. And Dean, I remember talking to Dean Ornish. And the more I read, the more I realized that there was something here.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out how to handle my life, so to speak, how to heal the body without solely relying on medications and invasive surgery.
Mm.
And the more I read, the more I realized there is something here. And that is when I realized the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine, nutrition being the cornerstone, and the rest of them complementing nutrition.
Mm. That's so interesting. Before you go on to say more, I think I remember reading in your book that you had even gone through the Dean Ornish program at one point, but for some reason it didn't connect for you at that time, or the Dr. Dean Ornish program. You mentioned it in your book for heart disease. I wonder why it didn't connect when you first learned about it. Do you have any sense of that?
Yeah, a friend of mine told me, I'd never heard about Dean Ornish.
Mm-hmm.
And surprisingly, a non-medical friend told me about it.
Hmm.
So he had a bypass surgery. He says, look, I've gone through this, and why don't you try? Now, you see, Angela, being a hardcore carnivore,
Mm-hmm.
first lunch and dinner was meat, eggs, and dairy. It is difficult. Not that I did not try,
Mm-hmm.
but but I fell off the wagon. I could not
Okay.
continue. I failed. And then I was miserable. See, this is where I tell people that start slow.
Mhm.
If you can go cold turkey, by all means. I could not go cold turkey. I tried cold turkey after being honest, and I failed miserably. So I had to reinvent how to carry on this program without just blindly following it,
Mhm.
doing it. I should get some. Anybody I tell them is try this out, this one particular thing, if you can't go cold turkey, and see if it benefits you.
Mhm.
Because that is what helped me. So from being, so then I decided to be a flexitarian. I cut back meat, eggs, and dairy.
Mhm.
Then I started giving up dairy. And I always tell people, give up dairy first because the results are immediate.
Yes.
And especially store bought dairy in the US is nothing but high levels of estrogen because you have to keep the cows impregnated.
Mhm.
You cannot. And not only that, but full of antibiotics. There are more antibiotics used in animals than in human beings in America. And they're pus cells because others get lacerated. As I write in my book, there are a certain amount of pus cells that are allowed.
Oh,
So now we come across a situation that even if you got your cow in your backyard and grazing on the grass, then you have this problems of what? The problems of your casein protein that you cannot digest and your lactose intolerance. But the dairy industry is so smart. It makes you lactose free milk and induces you. It tells you that A1 milk is better than the A2 milk. Have you heard about the A1, A2 milks? The A1 milk is the milk that is got from certain species of cows, and A2 milk is certain other species of cows and goats and your goats and your lamb. That milk is A2, which is less inflammatory than the A1 milk. So now the dairy industry says, oh, you go on to A2 because it is little less bloating, but it has the bloating and distension, but it is a little less. So now my patients will come and say, Doc, it's okay, I'm having my A2 milk. So
oh,
I explain to them what is A1, what is A2, and then, you know, so that is an issue. So I believe that then from being a flexitarian, from giving up dairy, then I started giving up my favorite in my carnivore was seafood. So I gave up seafood. Then I turned into vegan. Ladies, I make no mistake. I turned into a junk food vegan. And that to me is as bad as being a carnivore. Because a junk food vegan, why do I say this? In India, very many people are vegetarians and vegans. Why are we the diabetic capital of the world? That is what it is. So I became a junk food. So I started eating French fries and sodas and whatnot, and you know, you name it, donuts and everything else. Then I started getting back onto a healthy vegan. And then vegan itself did not, I don't like the word vegan a lot. I should have the word vegan along with what you people have just said, plant-based vegan. And not only plant-based vegan, whole food plant-based vegan. Because you can have mock chicken and your artificial meats and all that. That is ultra processed, highly processed. So you can't have that because that is why if you see the vegan, this thing is sometimes dying out because people are not afraid of being plant-based, but they're afraid of getting into this thing of eating all this mm, fake chicken and fake meats that they don't want.
Yeah. Well, you're bringing up a lot of good, interesting points. I mean, first of all, just to celebrate your transformation, and I definitely want to hear like what the outcome was once you went to this whole food plant-based, what you noticed beyond what you'd already been doing. But on what you were just saying, I mean, I think maybe an important distinction is, veganism is a philosophy of an ethical stance towards animals. And so you can be a vegan and maybe not eat healthy, and then, you can be whole food plant-based, which is the healthiest version of eating if you're going to eat a vegan diet, which is what you eventually move to. And I think it's important for ethical vegans as well, because if we're not, if I'm an ethical vegan, but I'm not eating healthy, I'm not going to be as inspiring or energetic for the cause for animals, as if I'm healthy, and also including myself in my circle of care. If I get sick and die, I'm no help to the animals. So for me, they're all interconnected. Like, I know some people distinguish them all, but to me, like, the health aspects of eating a whole food, plant-based, vegan, animal-free diet, along with caring for animals and the earth, it just all interconnects for me. I don't see it as separate. I don't know about you, Dr. Taher, where you're at on all of that, but.
You know what, Angela? I believe entirely what you're saying, that it should be interconnected. When I became a vegan for health reasons, it opened my eyes to animal rights and environment. True. Having said that, I also know people who are vegan for the environment. So they are the vegans for environment. They are labeled vegans. And some of these people, they can eat whatever they want. I'm not harming the environment. Then comes the animal rights. Now, as far as I'm concerned, there is no way that you can bring up an animal and kill it humanely. There is no moral justification in doing that. I realized after I became a vegan. My wife and my daughter realized 35 years back, and they became vegans. But I did not. I became because of health reasons.
Yeah.
And when I became of health reasons, then your overall thing changes. Your gut microbiomes change. Your oversympathetic nervous system comes down. You're not always worried. You're not always anxious. So now what happens is now you start understanding. Mental clarity is now much sharper, whereby you can now understand, oh my God, look at what they're doing to the animals. I mean, little calves being sold as veal and being forced to eat and then taken away from. So you realize all these things, whichever route you take, as long as what you said, you keep all the triangle together. That is amazing. But there are a lot of people who only do one thing. Oh, I'm not wearing a leather belt because I'm a vegan. But then you can go around and eat all the nonsense. That is my concern. So it is better than not being a vegan. But to me, that is very important too.
Yeah. And for some people, maybe it's transitional, which in a way it was for you. Some of the foods that are more processed are a way people transition from their kind of standard American diet, but the hope is that overall and over time, people move even more so to this whole food plant-based approach, which is what's healthiest for us as humans to thrive. And so when you went to that, you shifted from omnivore to flexitarian to junk food vegan, then whole food plant-based. What changes unfolded for you when you embraced the whole food plant-based?
Oh boy, mental changes, physical changes, emotional changes. Because remember one thing, in the beginning, as I write in my book, I was a type A personality. It was either my way or the highway. My staff would literally be afraid of me. That is, I'm being very open. They love me now. They love me now. They understand everything. But I had to have it done my way.
Mm.
That was a type A personality.
Mm.
Now, people don't realize spiritualism is a very important part in everybody's life. So I went over to the mountain, Mount Kailash, 19,000 feet, with a group of people. And then when I reached that, we circumvent on the mountain. We go around. It was 3 days work. I mean, it was terrible. You don't change your clothes. You don't do anything. It's hill at one time, rocks of snow falling on you, and you're trying to figure out. But once you reach and do that circumvent, that something happened over there. I don't know, even to this day, what it was. But like everybody started high-fiving and hugging each other, I wanted to be alone. I went out, I sat down on a rock, and I started thinking, would I be able to survive? I've gone through 3 days of hell. Sorry for my language. I've gone through this. Will I be able to survive? Do you think I really need all these creature comforts? Do you think all these cars and big houses and this and that were really need that? And there was something that happened where I cannot express in words at that time, but something inside me. So when I came down after a week, my wife asked me, did something happen over there? Because I had mellowed down my diaper.
Wow. That's so interesting.
So that is where I start saying that is the emotional mental change. Then you think about the physical changes, which is plant-based. Because when I was still herbivore, when I started eating right, I've done marathons being a herbivore. When I did bike ride, I was a herbivore. So I did my 100-kilometer bike ride, and then what? I slept for 4 days in bed. When I did my 100-mile bike ride, it was the most difficult because that was gale force winds. I did it in Mobile. It was extremely cold in the 20s. And it took us 9.5 hours to finish that. They had to change the last because people were falling off the bikes in the bridge. So they had to change the route. Well, I finished it in 9.5 hours. And then with my trainer, I had a whole food plant-based diet that we had carried. Then I went on my car, 6 hours drive back to my small town. I get a call from my clinic that there is nobody to cover tomorrow. Can you cover? So without batting an eye, I said, sure, I will. Went back, slept that little 4 or 5 hours at that night, 6 hours or whatever. I got up and did a 10-hour shift. Nothing happened.
Wow.
Usual day, plant-based, whole food plant-based. So I gave you a mental and emotional this thing. I'm giving the physical, and I'm trying to tell you even now, because I'm an athlete. So I mean, I'm not doing marathons and all that now, but I still do my 3-4 hours. 3 to 4 miles a day. I just did my 3 miles before I came over here. So the whole idea is that I have decreased my preparation time, decreased my performance time, and recovery time when I do this.
Yeah, wow. Gosh, Mariquita, any questions or thoughts that you have?
Well, I think that Dr. Akil was very appalled by his core, that soul. The soul knew what, you know, who he was, from birth. And so the soul was always pulling him back to that. And then, the wake up calls that the universe gets. And so, and then that's what's happened, we all have that calling. It's just whether we have wake up calls or we're listening or not. So I thought that I was just thinking about that was beautiful. And I did want a bit about that LP little a. In fact, I have a note written right here. LP little a, that's so important. I know that Dr. Akil would, if you could just share a little bit about that, I would love, because it's so important to you and to all of us.
I'm trying to actually go for a TEDx talk on this. It is going to be my, in a way, a part of my legacy, because having gone through it, let me just explain what is this LP little. For your lipid panels, cholesterol panels, they give you all kinds of things: total cholesterol, bad cholesterol, LDL, good cholesterol, HDL, triglycerides. All these are a mishmash of a lot of things going on. But here comes the LP little a. What is an LP little a? It is a particle in your blood, like your bad cholesterol, the LDL cholesterol, and extra protein, lipoprotein A. You don't have to remember that. But having this lipoprotein A, it makes this particle more sticky, like Velcro. It makes it more inflammatory, and therefore it causes a lot of atherosclerosis. It's very atherogenic. So it forms a lot of plaques and causes your heart attacks and your strokes. Much lethal than your LDL. Now, having said that, it also calcifies your aortic valve. What is an aortic valve? Aortic valve is where your blood actually from your body, from your the blood pushes through that aortic valve into the different parts of the body of this aortic valve. Because of LP little a, then this valve gets stenosed and narrowed. So eventually the heart has to work so hard that the heart fails, and you may have to replace this valve by another valve, a pig's valve or whatever. So the important thing is, why has it not been told? Because people do not know about it. Majority of the people have not heard of it, and nurses have not heard about it. I just had my surgery, my cataract surgery, and I was lying over there, and I was just talking to the nurses, and I said, "How many people have got your LPA done?" And they said, "What is LPA?" LP little a, or lipoprotein A. And then I had to explain to them. And it is so important that in Europe, everyone gets it done because it is genetic.
So when you say get it done, do you mean get tested for it?
Get tested for it once, because it is genetic. It doesn't change.
So and once someone's
if you're negative, you're home free. Then you never have to do it again in your life.
So when you go to the doctor, they will be able to do it if you ask for this lipoprotein A test?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It is many of these young people, like athletes and all that, Hollywood actors, young people dying suddenly. What do you think that happened to my, now I don't know, with that cardiologist that I was talking about who put my stents? Probably LP little a. Because LP little a can be in people who have a high cholesterol like me, or it can be in people who do not have any high cholesterol at all. Normal blood pressure. And regular good diet, a healthy diet, and yes, this is a question that I'm waiting for. What you can do is that there are things like whole food plant-based diet that can reduce it to a great, that should be very much like an SOS diet, whole food plant-based, can reduce it. Another thing is that if you got high cholesterol like I have, and it not only lowers the cholesterol, but 30 to 40% it lowers my LP little a also. Now, in the meantime, everybody should get tested once, but some people should actually ask their doctors, and I want to get tested. Who are these people more likely to have very high LP little a's? And who are these people? Number one, those people who have had a family history or the personal history of having heart attacks, strokes, peripheral arterial disease, aortic stenosis. If they have at a premature age, below 45 if you're a male and below 55 if you're a female, ask your doctor to get it tested.
Okay, well, we will.
Number two is those people who are blacks of African descent and South Asians like me are more prone to have high. Number three, if your cholesterol is high and it's not coming down, ask your doctor, I need my LP little a done. Number four, menopausal women, because they tend to carry, after the protective of estrogen protection is gone, they tend to have higher levels of LPA than their same age counterparts in men. So all these people. And number five, if you have somebody who has a high LP little a, the close relatives should all be tested because it is genetic. I got it from my parents. Now they are up in heaven now, but I don't know that they had or not. But my daughter has it very high. So 90% you will get it if you. So every close person of your, be it your brother, your sister, your siblings, your son, your daughter, your father, your mother, all these people should be
All
tested.
right. Well, we'll get it done. Thank you so much. Well, I see that we're coming close to the end of our time, so I want to find out about the empowerment. So I see that you have a lot of energy and you are just passionate. So what would you recommend to someone that maybe isn't feeling so empowered? What would you say to that person? Like, to what would be like a first step to get empowered like you are?
Recent research has just found out that loneliness has very recent, loneliness has increased in America by about 25 to 30%. So the first thing I do is get connected, form a group, have a robust social support. Because once you're connected, you can help each other. You can play games, whether it is mind-bearing games or physical, whether you can go for walks, play mahjong, play chess, learn to cook together, so that you're supporting each other. In fact, lifestyle, there's 6 pillars. So you got a problem with the 4th pillar, I will help you. I've got a problem with the 2nd pillar, I can't sleep, you help me. So that group activity really empowers everybody. But we lack that in this country. That is why, in that respect, South Asian countries are much better off because you have huge families.
Yeah.
Here I have only 2 friends, Mariquita and Angela.
Right. Well, it's true that connection piece is so important. I was really, when I was writing my book and my chapter on social support, was really intrigued to find that lack of support was as harmful to our health as cigarette smoking, obesity, and several So that it is surprising how much support can affect us physically as well as emotionally. So that's important.
But just one thing, please, whoever you meet, ask them to get the LP little A, because they're hidden gem. Nobody knows about it. Nobody.
We want them to still be there.
Right.
Just tell them to get it done.
Well, that's important. I appreciate that. And how can people follow you, and how can they best stay connected with you?
AkilTaher.com.
Okay,
Website.
that's easy.
My website will tell you exactly where I am, what I'm doing. I've started a few new things this year. One is I always have this one Friday in a month that I talk on common diseases like blood pressure, diabetes, cholesterol. Then I started doing walk with a dog with another person over here, and Angela has come for one of my walk with a
Mariquita.
dog, right?
I wish I could. I'm too far away, or I would.
But Mariquita has come. And then I've started free. It is, everything is free. Is that I've started shop and cook with the dog. I am not a gourmet cook. I have a lot of problems when they started videoing me because I drop things. I'm clumsy, but of oil and no sugar. So I think these are the free recipes that they can. There's a book of recipes. I've done about 7, 8 so far. They can go on my akiltaher.com and just download the recipes.
Yeah, to get started, to realize it's doable to both be compassionate for all beings and be healthy at the same time, and really take care of your own health. Yeah. Well, that's beautiful. Well, any final words you want to say? Anything?
I believe very strongly that adventure can hurt you, but monotony will kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, adventure over here is a metaphor. It does not mean climbing mountains and doing other things. Sure, by all means, if you want to go ahead and run your marathons, that is not the only meaning. It is to start something new. In the COVID period, I started cooking. I started gardening. My wife now a player of mahjong with a group. So anything outside your comfort zone, that'll keep you alive.
Grow and stretch, discover, explore.
I can go into my room, examination room, examine a patient. That becomes a second nature to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to really work for it. But sometimes I will have a very difficult patient who makes me work. The rest of it I know.
Yeah.
So that is the time to make myself now as a resurgent physician in trying to say, you don't need antibiotics. Just let your body work. But stay away from the cigarette smoke. Stay away from this. That becomes a challenge too. Because all while a long time, I've been doing what every doctor has been doing and not helping. I've really helped people quite a lot. But it was a conventional medicine. For years, I've saved a lot of people with heart attacks and strokes and through them. All that I've done. I worked in Assiniboine tribes and all that, and I've done a lot of things. But this is a new thing.
Yeah. It all unfolded because you opened your mind and your heart to try something new after that surgery and to commit to your word too. I think, you saying those words to those nurses, wherever that came from, was a path that led to a whole bunch of other commitments that unfolded to yourself. And it became a journey of discovery leading you to places you would have never imagined.
True. And once again, if I have the time, I will definitely be on your listing. I really wish to thank both of you, Mariquita and Angela, for doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. And those of you listening now or later, please, share your comments, your thoughts, even your questions, because we can follow up with Dr. Akil afterwards if you have questions that maybe came up. But yes, definitely follow his work. I mean, he is an example of an empowerment and healthy living, whatever stage of life we're in, and really living your purpose, I think. In fact, your story was shared in my chapter on purpose because you embody that purposeful living that we keep discovering our purpose sometimes on deeper levels.
True.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah. Any final thoughts from you, Mariquita?
Well, everyone, please share this video so we can get this empowerment and the word out about LP little a and gosh, just this all this wisdom. So thank you all for watching, and thank you so much, Dr. Akil. It's wonderful to see you again.
Yes.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Dr. Akil, and thank you, everybody. Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Bye-bye, everyone.